If you feel like your salary is shrinking, even though you are earning the same or more than before, you are not imagining it. This feeling is becoming increasingly common, especially in developed economies. People work, receive raises, switch jobs, and yet the sense of progress is missing. The money arrives, but it disappears faster than ever. And that leads to an uncomfortable question: why does your salary feel smaller, even when the numbers say it is not? The common explanation is inflation. Prices go up, purchasing power goes down. That part is true, but it is only the surface. Inflation alone doesn't fully explain why so many people feel financially stuck despite earning more than previous generations. There is a deeper structural reason behind this phenomenon, and it has everything to do with how modern economies are organized. The hidden reason your salary feels smaller is that the cost of participation in the system has increased faster than wages. It is not just that things are more expensive, it is that staying economically functional now requires spending a much larger share of your income on non optional costs: housing, healthcare, education, transportation, insurance, and basic services absorb a growing portion of earnings before any real choice is possible. In previous decades, a salary covered not only survival but also progress. A single income could support a household, allow savings, and provide long term security. Today, even dual income households struggle to build margin, not because people are irresponsible, but because the baseline cost of modern life has exploded. Your salary is not smaller in absolute terms, it is smaller relative to what the system demands from you just to stay in place. Housing is one of the clearest examples. In many countries, wages have grown slowly while housing prices and rents have surged. This creates a permanent pressure on income. A larger percentage of earnings is locked into rent or mortgages, leaving less room for savings or flexibility. Housing used to be a foundation. Now it is a constraint. Healthcare follows the same pattern. Even in countries with public systems, out of pocket costs, insurance, and supplementary expenses have increased. In private systems, healthcare has become one of the largest financial risks for individuals. A salary that once felt comfortable now feels fragile when a single medical event can destabilize everything. Education is another silent drain. Degrees that were once optional are now required. Certifications, courses, and continuous training are no longer investments for advancement, but requirements to remain competitive. This turns education into a recurring cost rather than a one time opportunity. Your salary supports survival in the labor market, not guaranteed upward mobility. Transportation and energy costs also play a role. Commuting, fuel, maintenance, and infrastructure expenses have risen steadily. Remote work has helped some, but for many, mobility remains expensive and unavoidable. These costs do not feel dramatic individually, but together they compress disposable income. At the same time, the structure of work has changed. Job security is lower, benefits are weaker, and pensions are rare. This forces individuals to self insure against risks that were previously absorbed by institutions. Savings, investments, and emergency funds are no longer optional, they are mandatory just to avoid vulnerability. This shifts financial responsibility from the system to the individual without a proportional increase in compensation. Another critical factor is asset inflation. While wages grow slowly, assets like real estate, stocks, and financial instruments grow faster. This benefits those who already own assets and penalizes those who rely mainly on labor income. The economy increasingly rewards ownership over work. If your salary is your main source of income, you are structurally disadvantaged. This creates a psychological distortion. People feel like they are doing everything right but falling behind. They compare themselves to previous generations and feel cheated. The problem isn't effort, it is timing and structure. The system has shifted in a way that disconnects work from wealth accumulation. Debt fills the gap. Credit cards, student loans, mortgages, and consumer debt allow people to maintain a lifestyle that salaries alone can no longer support. This creates the illusion of stability while increasing fragility. A larger share of future income is already committed. Your salary feels smaller because part of it belongs to the past. Taxes and indirect costs also contribute. Even if headline tax rates remain stable, fees, mandatory contributions, and indirect expenses increase. These costs are rarely perceived as taxes, but they function the same way. They reduce net income without providing a visible benefit in return. The result is a compression of financial freedom. You earn money, but you have fewer real choices. You spend more just to maintain normalcy. Savings feel harder, risk feels higher, and progress feels slower. This is not a personal failure. It is a structural outcome of how modern economies allocate costs and rewards. The most dangerous aspect of this dynamic is normalization. People adapt. They lower expectations, delay milestones, and accept fragility as normal. Home ownership becomes a dream. Financial independence feels unrealistic. Stability becomes conditional and temporary. Understanding this hidden reason is important because it changes the question. The problem is not how to earn slightly more. The problem is how to rebuild margin in a system designed to absorb income. Without margin, every shock becomes a crisis. Without margin, effort only sustains participation, not progress. The real challenge of this era is not income generation, but income retention, not growth, but resilience. As long as salaries grow slower than the cost of participation, the feeling of falling behind will persist. The key question is not why your salary feels smaller, but how much of it is truly yours after the system takes its share. Until that question is addressed, financial frustration will continue regardless of effort. In the next video, we will explore who really benefits from inflation and rising interest rates and why the solutions to these problems often create new ones. Because understanding why your salary feels smaller is the first step to understanding how the system actually works. If this analysis helped you see the economy more clearly, subscribe to the channel. Here, we focus on structure, incentives, and long-term reality, not surface-level explanations.